My name is Sean Corey.
Next is Eric Lindsay. Excuse me, John, go ahead, Sean.
I own Sean Corey Entertainment. I own a mobile disc jockey company, and I do business inside the city limits, inside the county, in Naples. We do business all over. And I can tell you from seeing it in the city limits and you go outside to the county, it's a night and day difference when it's 18 and up. You go anywhere that I do business inside the county, there's a line wrapped around the building of people trying to get in. Downtown is not known as downtown anymore. It's known as dead town, ghost town. Nobody wants to come down here. We need to change that. Between the ages of 18 to 20 years of age, they're not going to the roller skating rink anymore. They're not going to the movies and staying outside. They're 18 years old. We consider them legal adults. They're able to buy tobacco. That's been mentioned numerous times. They're adults. We need to treat them like they're adults. You know, being able to have more designated drivers downtown, that's a huge increase to us. That takes a major layer of liability off of all of us in this room if we have them there. I know numerous times when I go out to nightclubs and I'm up with a group of people, there may be 20 of us. Somebody's 20 years old. We can't go in. All 20 of us have to leave, and now we got to go somewhere outside the city limits to be able to enjoy ourselves and have a good time. We want to go there to hear bands, DJs, dance, and that's it. And they can't do that. A big thing that's going on is house parties. You know, you can't stop them from drinking. They're having house parties already, and they're leaving those house parties completely trashed. If they were coming out to a nightclub where they can't drink, where they are being wristbanded, where they're being checked by the swipers, and everything's going on, and security is everywhere, that's going to help. That's going to stop them from drinking. They're going to see the security. They're going to be afraid to drink. They're not going to want to do it. Then they're going to be able to take their friends that are of age to drink and be able to drive them home safely. So we'll have safer streets. Thank you.
Thank you. Eric Lindsay.
Good evening, council members. I've got a few points that I'd like to make tonight. The first is from a monetary standpoint, nobody's mentioned so far. Statistically, the 18 to 25-year-old age bracket is the one with the most disposable income. As soon as you eliminate that age bracket, you're seriously harming the businesses that are trying to make income because there's not as many people spending as much money. Another point I'd like to make is that this is not going to be a fix-all solution. This is not, getting this ordinance repealed is not a magical solution to all of downtown's issues, but I think it's definitely a step in the right direction. It's something that can help the people that work downtown build downtown up again. Again, we don't want to segregate. We don't want to prevent any one single market from coming downtown because that's going to hurt everybody. Even if it's, I remember a few years back, each of the clubs was doing enough business that they were going after a different part of the market. You had your upscale clubs, more expensive clubs, less expensive clubs, disco clubs. You had a lot of different markets out there. And now you really don't anymore. You have a lot of people all trying to get as much money as they can from the bottom of the barrel. They're all going after what they can get their hands on. And there's a lot of club owners in this room. There's a lot of proprietors. There's a lot of builders that are trying to just improve the general quality of downtown through a lot of different mechanisms. And even if you're not interested in the business or the revenue, a lot of you are interested in the arts, the entertainment. There's a lot of different aspects that this touches on, and a lot of different things that this can help benefit. Repealing the law, like I said, it's not a cure-all, but I think it's definitely going to help us, to help build things back up again. I'm actually the manager of Sean Corey Entertainment, and I'm also a technical advisor to several of the owners of the clubs and things. And I'm the person that's sort of guiding the way in the technological aspects of things, how we could network downtown, how we could keep everybody more better informed about the people that they're letting into their bars and clubs. The ID scanners have been mentioned. An ID scanner is not a device that will tell you let this person in or do not let this person in. It's going to present information in a way that makes it more accessible to you. You can decide, okay, this person has previously had a felony because they pulled a gun in a club. Do we than not. You know, it makes more information available to make everything safer, to help the bouncers do their job, and like I said, to help, you know, improve the general clientele, which right now definitely needs improving, because like I said, we're having to scrape the bottom of the barrel. So I just wanted to touch on, you know, the arts entertainment factor. If we want to get more, you know, more museums, you have to make downtown a destination that people want to go. And right now, nobody wants to go downtown. So regardless of the time of day, a reputation is a reputation. So that's what I'd like to say. Thank you for your time.
Next is Bruce Strayhorn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council, and thanks to you, Mr. Wright from Ward 1, for bringing this up for discussion. Mr. Mayor, members of council, as someone who grew up in the city, and as the speakers were speaking, as I saw Bert over here, and remember going from Sidney Davis to Coley Westbrook to Freemax to the Raven Glass and other establishments downtown, we've seen the transition, and I see Mr. Sims smiling there. Some of those names mean something to him. Where we are now in the city of Fort Myers, I think I've heard a lot of positive input from these individuals, and I know that it was not advertised tonight for any action. It's only for discussion. So my suggestion might be to move this forward, because one of my concerns as I was listening, what do you do when 500 people are turned loose at 2 a.m.? Well, I heard the cabs, I heard staggering of closing times, I've heard the ID. I mean, it sounds like a lot of the issues that caused this ordinance in the past are at least verbally being addressed here tonight. So my suggestion might be, if a committee is set up, and perhaps I think Ward 4, most of the city is, or what we're talking about is in Ward 4. Maybe if the council person in Ward 4 works with the manager in the police department and comes back in either 2 or 4 weeks. Because to implement in ordinance form, what I heard discussion here, I think is going to take some stakeholder meetings, some give and take, see what's feasible, what's not feasible. And as I looked at your agenda, since it's just for discussion, I said, now how do we move it forward? And my thought is maybe the council person from the ward that moves to this is in, works with the city manager and his staff, the police department comes back. That's sort of how we did it before when we tried to work on these ordinances, because you actually had real give and take from not only the stakeholders, the police department, from the various city agencies. So that, Mr. Mayor, when it comes up on the agenda, might be a way to move it from here to some concrete resolution.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. The next one, I'm sorry, I cannot read. It looks like Michael. Is it PZGGO?
Not anywhere close, but I know.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Don't worry about it, Mr. Mayor.
I'm sorry, though, I cannot read your writing.
Last name is Piggott.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, the council members, I was invited to the Arts and Entertainment Proprietors Alliance meetings a couple of weeks ago. Although I don't own a bar, I don't own a nightclub, I'm not a restaurant owner, nor am I an employee. And before I was invited to the meeting, the members that were there had no clue how I felt on this particular subject. Yet they sought out my input and my advice, which I gladly gave to them. To follow on what Mr. Strayhorn just said, in the meeting that I first attended, and I've been to 2 of them so far, these folks have ideas that they can put into place and that they're willing to put into place. The lengths that they're willing to go to as individuals and business owners was very impressive to me. There's just a couple of points that I would like to address for your consideration. First, the ordinance that we have before us has alienated our 18 to 20-year-olds to the point where when they actually turn 21, they're not coming into downtown. They don't come here for entertainment. They go where they're more comfortable going, and that's outside the city of Fort Myers, so we're losing that revenue. And we're not only losing it to the bar and restaurant owners and the nightclub owners, but we're losing it for the entire city. Secondly, as a parent of young adults that fall into this age group, I've learned from experience that you can drag them kicking and screaming to arts and culture, But unless they discover it for themselves, it's not truly appreciated until that point. And the point that I make there is, if our young adults have a reason to come into the city for their entertainment, they're going to discover all that this city has to offer: the art, the culture, the history, the shopping, and the dining. And we're missing a great opportunity because these young adults are our future. Lastly, I would ask the community, the city council, law enforcement, the Arts and Entertainment Proprietors Alliance to keep an open mind, to listen to each other's ideas and concerns, and work in a cooperative effort. Everybody will benefit. All of us have a common thread when it comes to the city of Fort Myers, the least of which is the safety and not the least of which is the safety and security of our young adults. The proposals that they've given to me, the things that they want to do, are feasible. They're not asking you for money, they're saying they're going to do it. I think we should give them a chance and hear what they have to say. I would like to thank the mayor and the members of the city council for allowing this dialogue to begin. Thank you.
Next is Roger, E-A-T-E-H or Hatch. And then next after that is Anthony Thomas. For those of you who are waiting, we're down to 4 after this.
How you doing today? My name is Roger Patch. I'm a property owner and I live in downtown Fort Myers. I originally moved downtown and opened a beat club for a long time, when I was for over 10 years. And watched the city start to thrive, business start to pick up, things were doing pretty well. Then the ordinance went into effect and it since then steadily died off. I mean, I've watched business go from booming to nothing as it is right now. I opened up a Level nightclub on Henry Street, and I invested my pockets and my life into it. And I'm concerned for it, and I'm concerned for the livelihood of everyone downtown. These young adults, 18, 21, they're adults. And we need them and their disposable incomes to support the businesses downtown. I had other points I was going to go over, but I don't want to say the same things that people have said over and over again. We just need them, and we need your support.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Barbara Perez. Or Anthony Thomas next. I'm sorry. Barbara, I'm sorry. Anthony. I said Anthony Thomas, and then I put his card back up.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, my name is Anthony Thomas Jr. I'm chairman of Citizens for a Better Fort Myers Government. I must say off the rip, before I begin to talk about the other issue that I wanted to talk about, I remember this debate 6 years ago. I remember there are people from the owner of the Bottom Line who came down, and he and other city business owners talking about the negative effect this would have on the economy. I remember this because I started my political activism in the city of Fort Myers on March the 20th, 2000. I came before the city council. You weren't there at the time. Grady was in the seat, and I spoke out in favor of a city curfew for underage people. The reason why I spoke out in favor of that because my brother had been killed 2 days earlier at a local nightclub. But set that aside, I think that I've been around this government now for 8 years. I can tell you this is one of the most foolish, unwise public policy decisions I have ever seen made. As you've heard from numerous speakers who have come before me, it has hurt the local economy. It has put people out of work. I know there were a lot of people who were very angry about this because when we were getting our petition drive to get a city manager form of government, we had a lot of support from young people, and we had a lot of support from the downtown business owners. So I think that they got their revenge in that sense. They changed our form of government to get a professional city administrator. Now, with that being said, I'd like to address the issue that I came here to talk about, and that is the issue dealing with the Citizen Police Oversight Study Commission. Before I start it, let me also point out that part of the debate that took place at that time was Councilwoman Tammy Hall and Chief Daniels talking about police officers not wanting to work as hard, so to speak, and that they were complaining because a lot of young people were down there and it was causing them a lot of problems. So we listened to the advice of our police chief and Councilman Hall at the time, and as a result, our economy has suffered. So I just want to add that part of the record. That's what happens when you have law enforcement interfere in public policy when it comes to economics. Now, that being said, Mr. Mayor, we are witnessing a midnight conversion of an extent I've never seen in government. We started this process out with a lot of council members saying that there was no need for a civilian oversight review board. Some people said there was no empirical evidence for the
Wait just a minute, let me interrupt you.
Yes, sir.
Where on the agenda are you?
Well, I put that on the thing that I wanted to speak about, the appointments to the...
I'm sorry, that'd be out of order. You need to address what's on the agenda, and
This is on the agenda, it's items 2, 3, and 4.
that's appointments. If you want to
Yeah,
talk
I
about a
wanna
particular
speak about
person,
that
then
appointment.
move into that, please.
Okay, well, as I was saying, I don't think that we need to move forward with this police oversight study commission. I don't agree with any of the appointments. I know one of the people that Councilman Flanders is appointing, a local attorney. Actually, I think he wrote an op-ed opinion several months ago, and he spoke out against even having a review board. So I think from the very beginning, you're putting people on the board who already have a predisposition of being against the review board, and how you would have them study something that they've already stated publicly against. I think there's a conflict of interest. I'm interested to see that only 3 council members have actually appointed someone, had someone up for appointment today. One of the local council members was quoted in the newspaper last weekend talking about how the city was moving forward on the issue, and I see he doesn't have a person up. So I'm against all 3 of these people, not because of any particular reason, but because I don't see a need to actually have a review board. We're doing the petition and let the voters decide on the issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Barbara, Perez, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Jim Humphrey and City Council and City Manager. Well, I guess I have the honor to be the first mom
Okay.
to be speaking about this item. As you know, my name is Barbara Price. I work in the River District. I'm a parent of a young adult, and I also represent the River District Roundtable, which is composed of all the sales force that we have in these high-rises that are coming up. And again, that the gentleman said, I'm not going to repeat everything. My concern is the entertainment. When we did come in here, to build these high-rises, we wanted entertainment. I don't know if it's the factor of the under 21. I don't know what happened before. What I do know is that I'm concerned about the comments that were made here today. For example, one of the bar members says, we're forced to get what we can take. That's kind of concerning to our group, because that affects us as well. And then the other concern is, it's just going to be public records. It says downtown is dropping off to nothing. That's another major concern, because now some of these high-rises have yet to be built and be finalized and people living in it. So this is what we're creating, and I don't want that to happen. If you would give them the chance to, like Mr. Strayhorn said, to please give them the chance to open this discussion and sit down with you. I was part of this Arts and Entertainment Alliance group. I also participated, I went to them. And this is, I think you should hear them out as concerned. As a parent, I'm very impressed, because if this is what they're doing, I want my son to be here, because I know all these owners have an interest in making this a safe environment for my young adult. And to end with a quote from our first president of the United States. And George Washington says, we either hang together or we hang separately. So just wanted to address. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, next is, I think it's Shane C.C.E.D. Yes. And then the last one is Dan Ruby. Dan?
I didn't think I was going to reach this, actually. How are you, Mr. Murphy, Councilor? Before I start, I want to tell you, I had an entire thing planned. I had a speech for you. And I was going to come up here and pitch to you why these businesses are losing money. Man,
Sure.
is that better?
Yeah.
Better for me too. I was going to come up here and pitch to you why these businesses are losing money, why these men are, why the foots are not coming down to downtown. And I crumbled that up. And I'm going to speak to you from my heart. Right now, I'm not pitching the businesses, I'm not pitching the money. What I'm pitching to you is an ex-con, an ex-criminal, an ex-gangster, and I emphasize that word ex very strongly. I'm a reformed man on a positive TV network, world-known MTV networks, on a show that's geared towards the 18 to 21-year-old male and female in a positive light. If we were going to speak statistically, just one thing I want to throw out. Lee County, excellent job, and I respect them more than anything, especially from some of my past records and that I've actually gotten out of. Only one time has Lee County made a statistical statement of a 30% decrease of crime calls since 2004, since the ordinance. Since then, and that's a wonderful thing. Since then, there's been several documented online articles, increases in crime rates. And that's because of temptation. And when I say I'm not getting religious on anyone, even though I'm a man of God, I'm going to speak on something that no one has touched on yet. And it's the younger youth of today that we're molding and shaping for tomorrow. And these people are forced into temptation by not having places to go, by not being able to go where the people are. Yes, that's great. Everyone wants to be in the in crowd. But these younger youths, by having a place to go, and I know every one of these nightclub owners, every one of these promoters, and I've spoken to every one of them, and they are absolutely 100% agreeable on putting ropes around the bars, ropes covering the bars from the 18-year-olds, tightening their security, taking money out of their own budget, their own pockets, and making their security absolutely way higher, with ropes around the bars. The same ordinance that you passed to stop alcohol from coming outside, they can still stop it from going to designated areas inside these bars. And I'm not only speaking on bars and nightclubs. There's other places like sushi places that do have bars, and that these kids, I know 18-year-olds that live on sushi, which I can never do myself. But if I might say something, the one thing I want to say, without having a resource of entertainment, the crime calls, they can come from anywhere. Anywhere. We're not going to stop crime calls. We're not going to stop crime by respectfully having you gentlemen pass an ordinance or drop an ordinance. But what we will do is contain those crime calls, guaranteed, by not letting this youth walk around with temptation. It's designated, it's contained. So with the law enforcement that's sitting back here, they know where these calls are coming from if there is a negative. And they're contained right there in those nightclubs, which security is absolutely a necessity and is there. And I tell you, by lifting the ordinance, we're allowing choice with constant consequence. By lifting the ordinance and getting rid of it, we're allowing the youngsters to make choice with consequence. By having the ordinance, the only thing we're doing is waiting for the youngsters to mess up with consequence. And I leave you guys on that strong thing, because I'm an emotional guy, and watch my show.
Thank you very
Thanks a lot,
much.
guys.
Thank you. And the last one is Dan Rudy, I think, Rudy.
Thank you, Mayor Humphrey and
Thank you.
council. I had the privilege of watching your budget an hour and a half before I came downtown, so I know you're a little bored and tired. Basically, I worked with some of the clubs, and I've also worked for the clubs over the last 6 to 8 years to see a change. And I think the basic thing is they're asking for is a level playing field. Since Florida Gulf Coast Town Center's opened up, we've seen what downtown used to be with what they're doing over there now. 5 or 6 nights out of the week, they're very busy. The difference that we can provide downtown for club-wise and for host establishments is they already have security in place. They have things that are set downtown to keep a safe environment where they're not set up for that at the Florida Gulf Coast Town Center. They just have the right to do 18 and up. The towers have gone up, like she mentioned. They're looking for what they call the arts and festivals and different forms of entertainment. If everybody remembers back when it was under 21, places like Peter's Lock was in, when you had the blues bars and stuff that were all prosperous. 1988 to 2000, the millennium, we were all very prosperous and there was no problems. There was a little change in the culture with music, and we weren't ready for that. but I think we've had 6 years of handling and dealing with the situations, and we're just trying to become a more level playing field with the other areas and bring some life back down to downtown. That's it.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, and thank all of you for your input, which did take us up approximately an hour, but we appreciate you taking the time. And with that, I'll close the public input, and we'll now go into the items that is first is the proposal by the Fort Myers Women's Community Club to use the Langford Kingston home, 2500 First Street, and Burroughs home at 2505 First Street for the Holiday House. I think it's interesting that the Fort Myers Women's Community Club had a chance to hear all of this too. But I'm not sure that that's a real true statement that was just made, but thank you. We do, and Karen, I call on you and Eloise to give your names first, and I believe let me just say that all of us have received the green sheet and your proposal, as well as I included the memo that I